much anymore.
That's right. From the very first bat, as you can see here, Richie Blackmore has Rainbows, launched a new version of the classic Black Sheep of the family. Danny, this is just a new rework. He's done this before. He's done this with another song with his new Dio protege as well.
Yeah, Ronnie Romero, he picked up from a band which isn't that good, but Ronnie Romero is a good singer.
Mm-hmm.
And he released, I think, 2 songs last year, which are just pretty much covers of his own works. And maybe he wanted to do what everyone else was doing and get his like money back to him and re-record on his own name.
Yep.
And they've done it again. So they've done a new, they've remastered this song, a new singer. But I think at the end of the year, they're actually releasing a new song.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, new songs coming out, so that's exciting.
So that is exciting. We are looking forward to very much having that. Apparently, we are massive Rainbow fans. We've been into them a few while. If you guys want to hear us do a retro review of certain albums, let us know. Our birthday is coming up.
Yeah.
I'm sure Danny would love to talk about Stargazer. Gives them a certain boner, musical boner, and I think it's sort of a real one as well.
Yes.
I'd imagine so.
Make sure the camera stays higher.
All right, next one, guys, we're going to talk about is the IRS Grant Satanic Temple. We're going to like to load this up, but what we'll do is talk a little bit about what I've got written down here. This isn't going to work. Here it is. Satanism is here to stay. IRS grants Satanic Temple tax exemption. As you can see from the Daily Mail right here, the federal government has now officially realized these guys are in fact a church. Satanism is a religion now, according to the eyes of the overseeing God, the government.
Well, makes sense. I mean, like in the end, collecting taxes and all that's quite an evil thing. So Satanism should fall really in line with a lot of the government's policies, you know. Again, I had this discussion. I was in a wedding, ironically, on Saturday, and someone came up to me and said, "Damn, you realize Satanism's not really an evil thing?" I was like, "Yeah, no shit." Like people think Satanism is like the opposite of. Well, I was like, they are shower kill and they are shower lie. Like, are you really that dumb? Do people really go around purposely like punching kiddies in the face and stuff? But
well, yeah, that's true. I mean, certain people who are Satanists have gone on to do pretty very dangerous things, you know. We've seen certain church burnings. We've seen the Behemoth latest album. Some pretty bad things have come to bestow us here in the world. But it really is, Danny. This is a bunch of guys and girls who just want to preach something and don't want to pay tax. And they're just coming to show you. It's kind of like hits the Salvation Army where it hurts and the Catholic Church. And that's right in the wallets, you know, much like those previous altar boys where it hurts was another part of the region.
that wasn't Satanism, though, was it?
Wasn't Satanism.
That was the good religion,
No, that's right. That's the good one, you know. So we're looking forward to seeing what happens with this. It's very interesting, but then again,
you see like what celebrities join now the Church of Satanism?
No.
They normally join churches to get the tax exemptions. Imagine all these like celebrities start joining like the Satanic Church and stuff.
What do you?
That would be interesting. Yeah.
Who? I mean, do you reckon Tom Cruise can do it? I mean, he's done some wacky things in his life.
Too deep in Scientology.
We did that wrestler last week who was wearing those wrestling t-shirts. That was kind of cool.
Yeah,
so maybe it can be him as well.
Joining Satanism.
All right. Well, we'll keep an eye out for it, and we'll let you. We're the celebrity hot list. Will be like those really like crazy, ugly forms of media, like that go into the celebrity lifestyles and into stalking folks' lives.
TMZ.
TMZ will be the TMZ for you guys. Nevertheless, we got another news story here. Phil Anselmo apparently was ripping off Exodus singers, vocal stars. You can see here, Metal Addicts. Danny, apparently this guitarist has much respect for Phil Anselmo, as you can see here. His name is Marzi Montazeri. Now, he's come and said that he loves both of them, thinks they're great musicians, but tends to think that Phil Anselmo is a bit of a carbon copy of the guy. Danny, you've heard at least Phil Anselmo. Do you think this is true?
Well, I haven't heard any of this ex-Hoarder guy stuff. I probably should have.
We could have done that. We could have done that before our first episode, but
look, I don't know. Look, if he did rip it off, like, who cares? I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of people rip off everybody's style. It's just that if your tone is that tone, you can't really help it.
It's true.
So what can you do?
Nothing. We can't do anything because Phil Anselmo's already done it. He's already made his millions of dollars with Pantera and his new stuff in the illegals. You saw him. But like you said, all that stuff comes from somewhere, you know, like Malmsteen is stealing up a bunch of violinists who died a long time ago, so they have come and got the right to sue him, but nevertheless, he'll admit it.
Wait,
So-
every like black metal scream and death metal growl, etc., whatever, they have the same.
That's
sound,
right.
so-
You have to thank Sesame Street for that. You got the guy in the trash can, and you got the guy who eats the cookies. They're angry. When you're angry and you're frustrated, you can get some pretty good growls, and hence that's what they were doing.
Yeah.
We've been growing up in metal our whole lives, Danny.
Maybe they're trying to like get money out of Phil and the thing. I mean, you can't copyright a vocal style, can you?
Can you?
No,
No, you can't.
That's like Well, I don't know. Ask Gene Simmons. He might have tried to do it.
Yeah, exactly. He's now Marzy's lawyer or something, you know, and he'll get to the bottom of it.
We'll get to it. Yeah, anyway. If anyone can do it, Gene can do it.
Moving on now, Soilwork, a band that does creep from time to time in our show. Obviously, Bjorn Schrid, the godfather of what is one of the greatest metal bands of all time. That is, I guess we can't really call it metal, but Night Flight Orchestra, Danny, you know. For some reason, there was a change of lineup a couple of years ago, and there's a new guitarist involved and all that kind of stuff, and a new drummer involved as well. They played on Soilwork's album, but realized it wasn't so great, so they decided to write another album called the Night Flight Orchestra, and that was a great album. So, well, let's talk about Soilwork before we get too distracted. Now, he says here, as you can see, Metal Injection. Frontman says the full album tours are destroying the music scene a little bit. Danny, what do you think? Do you think he's got a case here?
He's come and said pretty much that bands these days are kind of somewhat expected to play like full part previous albums or like a lot from their best of albums. I mean, Deep Purple still do it with like Machine Head. They still play like 3 or 4 songs off that album.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like saying, don't do it. And fans shouldn't expect that. Fans should want more of the new stuff to be played rather than old. And Symphony X did that. We saw Symphony X and they only just played the new album and 1 or 2 songs previous, but everything was new.
Yeah, like he says right here, there's already way too much of that sort of performing the classics albums, blah, blah, blah. It's sort of getting ... It should be enough, like brackets, for a new album to draw people. It's almost like bands need to perform their classics. I think it's also destroying the music scene a little bit, where bands are forced to perform classic albums in entirety just in order to draw people. Should be enough to be the new album, unless the new album sucks.
But that's the problem. If you're not writing good music, people don't want to hear the new stuff. Like Suicide Silence, no one wants to hear anything of that new album. Instead of Machine Head, no one wants to hear anything of the new album. Well, maybe no one, but...
No, if they listen to our podcast, they would be well informed not to, you know. We can tell you the good Machine Head albums and the bad ones, but like you said, Danny, this is just one of those things. I think it's good to do it as a classics album tour if that's what you want and if that's what the fans are calling for, because we really are in service to those fans. Unfortunately for him, you know, a lot of the stuff that was back then is very much heavy with the vocals. Now he's far more singing, and I think he really wants to embrace that side of himself, you know. So maybe it is more of a move for him that he doesn't want to get back into that. Maybe it's just not as angry as he used to be, as you can tell with the Night Flight Orchestra, Danny.
Yeah. The interesting thing, because now Opeth just released their Australia-wide tour in October or something, and that'll be interesting to see if they play anything off their old stuff, because Mikkel has pretty much gone progressive, psychedelic, rock type thing. So I wonder if they actually play anything off their old albums, or they would be literally just new, and they'd be like the opposite to Soilworks, what he's saying. So
time will tell, Danny. Time will tell. Anyway, we've got ourselves another article here from blabbermouth.net. Heavy metal is the fastest growing genre according to Digital Music Distribution Company. This is interesting because everyone was kind of flagging metal as kind of going through this bit of a revival, or it's kind of at its low point. And according to TuneCore, which is one of those, you know, massive, everyone respects kind of website, they've got some figures here, as you can see. We've got heavy metal in 2018 growing up 154% increase, Danny. From maybe 0%.
Yeah, it's an increase. So from previous years, gone up 154%.
Exactly, maybe 154 people have bought albums this year.
Maybe,
which is actually totally true. You never know. Yeah. You can tell the biggest countries, Africa. Thank you to everyone there at the moment in Africa that's still supporting the scene. That's where one of the biggest growths actually been seen. Asia, I'm guessing, well, we're considered Oceania, aren't we?
Yeah.
So we are 38% responsible for metal coming back, Danny. I'd like to think we've done our part. Our podcast, as you can see, gets massive reach, obviously, to Africa, because that's where 146% have been growing. So
yeah, but that could just be like 5 more countries got internet, and they're the only new content which has internet now.
It could be true. Well, Asia, they got nothing to say. They've been in the internet for forever. You know, they've actually found time between jobs in order to get a 52% increase as well. Now, this has actually got the countries itself, so we should really cover it, because our brother and sister company, Italy, 108%. We are descendants of the Big Boot family, so that is quite exciting times. But Morocco, 243% increase.
It's massive. Again, they must have just all recently got the net to their country. I mean, with Italy as well, that's because they've just probably got out of recession. They can all afford to pay for the internet again.
That's right.
So that's probably why their stream has increased.
That's right, absolutely. Or they just become more frustrated with the lack of jobs and you know,
more time to like listen to music.
Looser immigration. Who knows what's going on there in Italy at the moment? South Africa, 125%, which relates to Africa at the top. So that's very exciting. So I guess North Africa really isn't doing enough, Danny.
Morocco's North Africa, man.
Oh, that's right. Cool. That's good then. We did that. India, Turkey, and Czech Republic finishing it all out. Danny, this is exciting times. I'm glad Australia's in that. Not the States. They're not there. You know, America, Argentina. You know, we did review a couple of albums from those bands. So,
but this is from this one company called TuneCore. So who knows about Apple and Spotify, etc. They might all be increasing differently. So this is them. So obviously, metalheads like TuneCore.
Yeah, amen to that. So keep it up, metalheads. We'll move on to our Newfound Glory, which have done a cover of Let It Go. Some people say it's a pretty decent cover. It's an okay cover. It's the guy has a naturally high voice, which I think lends itself really well to Disney musicals. A band that's very favorably known as the band who featured on the Burnout number 3. Burnout no, it wasn't Burnout Paradise. It was, I think, Burnout Takedown. Great game. Loved it. It was on the PS2, I'd imagine. They're not going to re-release it yet on the PlayStation 4. They should. But here they are wearing, their kids' frozen dresses and stuff, looking all the part, and going around the skate rink eating cake. So it's pretty much a Saturday day for them, Danny.
Yeah, but this movie came out 5-6 years ago. Like, couldn't they have done another cover? Like, it's pretty dated now. Like,
it's very dated.
That whole Frozen bandwagon or Gravy Train, I think that's kind of gone a bit. But,
well, it's like a very much overdue orange that's come from Boost Juice. Squeeze it till you have every last drop. And if not, just fill it up with ice like they do it, And hey, it's an ice ring, Danny. What other metaphor do you need?
Yeah, maybe they've just got the internet and they just downloaded Frozen. Who knows?
Seems to be our running joke of this today. But we'll move on to something not as funny, but definitely something we should talk about. Sepultura, Danny. They have been slamming authorities because they were banned. Danny added to the list metal bands banned for being controversial. It is the world what we live in, Danny. What do you say? Do you think we have a real problem now? The world has a problem, or is this another band that people are getting oversensitive about?
Yeah, it seems a bit weird. Like, I mean, it's not every country, of course. Like Australia, we haven't banned, I think, bands because of.
There is a petition to get rid of Destroyer 666 because their singer's he's a crazy one. That guy says a lot of interesting things, and the people have taken what he says very, very seriously. We'll talk about that next week. But here, this is Lebanon. So Lebanon. We found that actually the Asian countries have been mostly the ones getting into the whole banning things because they're very religious. There's a guy who's on a cross, and what Mel would do is have that person on the cross burning, being more impaled and more gutted than he was in the Catholic community. So it's really hard to know why, but it's just that's the way they are. They don't like certain things said about their Lord and Savior. But what do you think, Danny? What's going on here?
Sepultura are very upset. They said it's probably fair. They don't really have anything like anti-religious or anti-anything in their songs. So for them to be banned, it's kind of like a weird thing. I think they're kind of saying they got banned because they were someone said something about pro-Israel. Maybe Lebanon didn't like that comment. So it's more of a political response rather than on religious grounds. So,
well, we got this statement here from Sepultura. It says, in 35-year history, it was the first time we have ever been blocked entry in a country by a false interpretation of the purposes and values, since our intention has always been to promote unity and freedom of expression throughout music without making any political, radical, or religious distinction, Danny. To try and compensate everyone who, like us, are frustrated with what happened, we would like to invite you to watch the live broadcast of our upcoming Dubai concert on May the 2nd in honor of all Sepultura Lebanese fans who cannot watch us in person. It's a nice touch from the band, but interesting. Maybe they can go. Will they ever have a lawsuit here that they could sue the country? Well, I guess that's the way they use. That's their ground.
I thought some tried that last year because of didn't take or something. Tried to do it because of loss of income. They tried to sue these guys.
Yeah, the actual venue itself, not so much to the country itself. Yeah. Nevertheless, we'll move on to Deep Purple with some more legal issues. Yeah. Deep Purple's former accountant sentenced to prison. He steals $3 million off the band. Danny, you love a bit of Ian Gillan. We did review their latest album. We thought it was great. These guys can still write songs, but unfortunately, they might have got hurt a little bit in the process of doing so. I didn't even realize I had still getting that kind of money, Danny.
Yeah, they'll be getting good money still. I mean, $3 million for them is probably not much. Yeah, it sounds like it's not much. I mean, for a guy to try to hide it and steal it, it's obviously not too much for them. But he got done and sucked in.
6 years, 4 months for stealing £2.2 million. This was between 1992 and 2014. His name's Deepak Rayo. Sounds dodgy. Doesn't sound like a good bloke to hang around. And he diverted the money, as you can see, into personal accounts. Wow, who would have thought that $2.2 million would be not easy enough to track?
Well,
getting
if you,
screwed.
if you take $1 every day for 22 years, you might.
Yeah, you might get to 20. He would have done like $1 a day and realized this is really slow and boring. So he would have done like $1,000 and realized
Yeah.
no one know. Then he would have gone to 20,000, and then it's like
Yeah.
no one's paying. But they're the accountant. You know, if they're like, oh no, you had to use the market crash and you lost that $2 million.
He
You
gives
know?
the bills like, oh, here's your restaurant bill for the dinner. So it's it came to $60, but $2,000 tip. Yeah, and it's a weird custom here. You got to tip stupidly.
It's interesting because it's like with what's his name, Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden with the planes. You know, he had to learn to become a pilot because he was going to save money. Maybe one of these guys here should take up the bat and be an accountant. You know,
Interesting. Yeah.
save themselves extra. I mean, that's $2.2 million. They can buy a lot of drugs. I mean, ask Black Sabbath.
I think these guys have to buy a lot of deep heat cream now.
Yeah, that's right. And insurance money for their blown out knees.
Yeah.
That's right. They can't hear us anyway.
They probably can't actually hear anymore. Yeah.
Anyway, we'll move on to our final and interesting enough, probably our even more controversial, not because of us though, we're not that controversial, but here on this story from Metal Injection, music streaming and vinyl revival have a negative effect on the environment, according to two, not one, not three, but two professors, Danny.
Yeah, but I don't really. You might have to do more. These guys might have to do a bit more research, or maybe not cut some of the meat out of it, because it says here back in 1977, their physical music amounted for around 140 million kilograms of greenhouse gas emissions. Then 2016 increased to between 200 and 300 kilograms, I guess, for physical greenhouse gas emissions. But the amount of people buying music and the amount of people on this earth since then, it's a lot more. So I don't know, it comparatively, like inflation wise, has it really increased or is it about the same? So I don't know about this study. I think you have to do some more details. I think people might have nitpicked certain facts out, which a lot of people do when they want to back up their arguments. So I don't know about this one.
Well, you got Carl Devine, associate professor in Department of Musicology and the University of Oslo, and Dr. Matt Brennan. He's a doctor, but then again, social science gives out doctorates as well, and no one listens to that.
It's not doctor of mathematics.
That's right. University of Glasgow School of Culture and Creative Arts. So you're right, Danny. These aren't actual, they're musicians or part of a music school of the arts. So, maybe it's like a mechanic, going to a mechanic and realizing it's the doctor to fix up your muffler.
Yeah. I think the one surprise thing is that streaming sites actually do eat up a lot of data and a lot of storage and a lot of energy. So they do actually produce more, I guess, emissions than we thought. We thought buying vinyls, buying CDs was
interesting.
Physical copy makes it harder. But these data and all this amount of space they need, storage they need on the internet.
Could you imagine if Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Music are so bad for the environment they actually have to somehow do it, and then they have to go to a point where, you know what, we can't actually stream music because it's just killing it too much. We have to get back to buying it. Yeah,
it'd be interesting. I know Apple are investing a lot of solar panels for their stuff, so they might become carbon neutral.
Which makes sense.